However, she planned her funeral while she was ill. She made sure that everything was going to be tasteful and organized, and that my brother-in-law would not have anything to do to take care of. Everything was arranged. I can't imagine having the strength to do that, but a lot of people manage to plan things to that extent before they let go and before we let go of them. Letting go is something that I think we all need to be aware of. We have to let go of a lot of things. I let go this past week of approximately a 10 to 12 inch stack of Toastmaster agendas and certificates and rules for contests and all kinds of other things. They went into the recycling bin. It was time to let them go. And I hope all of you are managing to do that in your life at some point. Now, our friend Eric is the jester this morning, and he needs to get back to work, so we're going to listen to a little humor from Eric Schneider first thing. Eric.
Thank you so much, ma'am, Toastmaster. I did this joke last week during social hour, so I think it was something that we all need to laugh today. So here's the joke. It's another hot day, so I've taken all my clothes off and opened every window. I feel so much better, although the other people on the bus don't seem so pleased.
Very good. Thank you, Eric. Hot weather humor. All right, our word master this morning will be Sylvia. What have we got to stick to, Sylvia?
Well, this morning I have a word for you. It's called relinquish. I knew I was going to screw it up saying it. Relinquish. To withdraw, retreat from, leave behind. And used in a sentence, he forced to relinquish control of his company. I'll put it in the side chat there for you. Relinquish.
Very good. Thank you, Sylvia. Excellent word that goes along with the theme of the day. I appreciate that. Our quote master this morning is Gerald Stevens, and I know he likes this job a lot. Gerald.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Thank you for relinquishing the control of the meeting to me for a brief moment. I have a couple quotes today. One from Marcus Beckingham. Many people dream of having a clean house, but who actually dreams of doing the cleaning? Nobody I know. Another quote from Shirley Conran. I make no secret of the fact that I would rather lie on a sofa than sleep beneath it. So to me, letting go, like you said, letting go of a lot of items in your house. A lot of people are doing that at this time. So I have a few quotes in relation to that. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, Gerald. And Carol Ann has volunteered to be our master this morning. Tell us a little bit about your job, Carol.
Since at some meetings, I tend to be the queen with the number of ahs I have. That's a project I'm working on. I will be noticing the ahs from people, any pregnant pauses, and then I will be reporting back. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Carol. Our grammarian this morning will be Mark Campos, and I'm sure he has his headphones turned up, so he's going to be paying close attention.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters. Good morning. As grammarian, I will be listening for proper utilization of the English language. As a glass half full kind of person, I would prefer to focus on the positives. So please, let's avoid the egregious sins today, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you very much. The phone call I had at the beginning, just before we started our meeting, was from Joe Budnak. He's having some problems with his computer this morning. So we will have no quiz master unless someone else wants to jump in and do that job. We can always relinquish those duties for now. Our gesture master this morning is Beth Banks, and Beth, I'm sure, will be happy to tell us about her job. Beth.
It is up there. Good morning, Madam Toastmaster. My job will be to look for gestures, body language, that kind of thing, both positive and maybe some things that we all need to work on. Thank you.
Thank you. Our timer today is Len Thornton, and I know he will be right on the ball to illustrate the time parameters for everyone. Len.
Morning, Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters. I am indeed the timer this morning. I think we all know the time constraints. Table topics, 1:30, 1:45, and 2. Evaluations, 2 minutes, 2:30, and 3 minutes. And a general 5 to 7 minute speech. You'll see lights at 5, 6 minutes, and 7, and they will look like this. So if you can make sure that I'm in your field of view as you're speaking, I'll give you a bright, colorful indicator of where you stand. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Len. Now, we do only have 2 speakers this morning and 2 evaluators, unless someone has a hip pocket speech they'd like to jump in with. But I think we can roll with that. We don't have to always follow the formula very precisely. If Ryan wants to do a few extra table topics, he can do that. In the meantime, I'll introduce our general evaluator, and we're happy to see him with us again today, Tom Moran. Tell us about your job, Tom.
Morning, Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters. It's nice to be here on a Thursday morning. For me, it's nice to be anywhere on a Thursday morning, I suppose. I've let go of quite a bit of my hair, as everybody can see. I'm going with a new look these days. So back to my job as a general evaluator. I will be looking at everything in this meeting, and right now I'm looking at everybody here, and I'm keeping a close watch on things. And when I am asked, I'm going to report back at the end of the meeting, I suppose, and give my assessment of how things went. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Tom. I know we're happy you're here. We're always happy to see you from your distance.
Boston.
It's Boston, yeah, Boston. It's a great town, but we'd rather have you here in person. Although Zoom it's nice to see your face. All right, I think we'll let the table topics master have a go, and I think everyone in the group should be ready for table topics. Certainly you can do double duty and fill in a little bit of time responding to whatever questions Ryan has for us this morning. Mr. Table Topics Master, go.
Thank you very much, Madam Toastmaster. Good morning, fellow Toastmasters. I hope everybody's having a great day. I enjoy the theme of letting go, or perhaps not letting go, or perhaps letting too much go. And so as I bring the questions to you this morning from Table Topics, I'm going to start off posing the first one. Letting go can be either mental or physical. So what is one thing that you've not been able to physically let go of from early on in your life? Len. It could be a stuffed animal, if you've got a favorite.
Well, I'm timer, so this presents a little bit of a challenge here. Maybe you could pick, I guess it is slim pickings today, is it not? All right. Something I'm trying to let go of.
I'll time you, Len. I'll time you.
Okay. Something I'm trying to let go of for a long time in my life. I guess you would say that I'm a collector. I see value in a lot of things. hardware, for example. I save nuts and bolts and washers and screws because there's nothing more frustrating to get into the middle of a job and not have that fastener that you need. To be able to walk down to my basement and pull out a jar, organized, hundreds of organized jars of just the fastener you need and save a trip to the hardware store at that critical juncture when you're in the middle of a project is so satisfying to me. Now it comes at a cost. Collecting and sorting all these things and storing them properly is time consuming. It's not my favorite thing to do, but I want to try and replicate as much as possible the inventory of a hardware store just for that need. I guess I learned this from my father. He always had hundreds of jars in the basement, saved everything. I also hate to pay for something that I know I have, but the key is you need to not only just have it, you need to be able to find it. So therein lies the problem. It's good to be a pack rat if you're organized, uber organized. So that's my goal, something I haven't been able to let go of even in these later years of my life. I still save every fastener, every extra part. Mr. Tabletop Master.
Thank you, Len. I appreciate that. And your official time is 1:32, based on when I turned it around and saw it. Okay. So in the last couple of years, there's been a relatively famous movie, especially if you have a young child or three, or you're a kid at heart. And that movie is Frozen. And one of the major themes of Frozen is that Elsa, the Ice Queen, must consistently sing at least 3,000 times, "Let It Go." And so in relation to the theme of that Disney movie, what I'm going to ask Nancy is, what is your favorite movie theme? And what kind of meaning does that bring to you?
Thank you, Mr. Tabletop Master. Movie themes, that's not something that I spend a lot of time doing, watching movies. I have seen the movie Frozen, parts of it with my granddaughters. I spent a lot of time trying not to listen to it, but I have heard that song probably only 1,000 times, Let It Go. I would like to tell you some of the things that I have let go. For me, letting go has always been difficult. I like to hold on to things, hold on to the past. I like to hold on to resentments. I like to hold on to feelings that don't help me. What I've learned to do is to let go of thoughts, which is helpful because then I can let go of things. They kind of connect to each other. So if I have the thought that this spoon here, wherever, I can't get it in the picture because of my background, but there's a spoon here. If I want to let go of this spoon, I can't just throw it away and let go of it. I have to let go of the thought of having that spoon. And 3 things that I have let go of in the past 12 years are sugar, flour, and wheat. I let go of those because the thoughts of those would make me crazy. And then when I ingested them into my body, it made it even worse. So when I let go of those, it taught me how to let go of other things in my life that kept me from living life fully. I don't have Len's screen because I'm on a phone. So if somebody could tell me where I am with time, I will let go. Okay, with that, I will leave you with Let It Go, Let It Go, and I won't sing because that's not what I do well. Thank you, Mr. Tabletop.
Thank you very much. So As I approach the third question that I had prepared, and Madam Toastmaster, if I need to ask additional, I certainly can. I'm pretty quick on my feet. I'd like to pose this. In 1912, a woman named Rose lay precariously perched on a floating door in the middle of the ocean. Her star-crossed lover, Jack, well, he was in the frigid water of the northern Atlantic. And though she swore to him that she would never let go, it turns out just moments into her promise, she was a big fat liar and let him go, and he drowned. Luckily, my theory is that he's completely imaginary. However, I'd like to pose the question, what's a time in your life where despite swearing to everything that you would not let something go, that you've inevitably moved on and let it go and relinquished control? Moklis, if you would not mind stepping up to the table.
Hello, Toastmasters. Good morning. I have to say, I relinquished the thoughts of Kodak leadership after many years of struggle. Why do I say that? Letting go of a close bond with my first job with Kodak and the people I loved to help the company. When you try to lead a company, you get a lot of scars, a lot of infighting, a lot of challenges, a lot of people stab behind from the back. But it's part of life. I have learned to grow and eventually succeeded in Hewlett-Packard and Pepsi-Cola to have a very nice, quiet research and development leadership. But my son, Samir, would always remind me, whenever we come to the topic of Kodak, I'm a very emotional, sensitive, because of the people there, just like this AM Toastmasters Club, were so caring and loving. I mean, I could not imagine sitting in Hawaii just after the first year of work at Kodak. Somebody said, hey, you want to look for a better job? I said, no, I'm happy with my current job. I love the company. I love the people. Why should I go to another company for a few bucks or what else? Sometimes pains are difficult to get rid of, but it's one of the way Marx said, look at life with glass half full rather than what's not there. Thank you, Mr. Table Topic Master.
Thank you very much, Moklis. Madam Toastmaster, I have posed the 3 questions. Would you prefer that I move on to 4 or 5, or would you like me to relinquish control back to yourself?
Do you feel ready to ask some more questions? Do you
Madam
want to
Toastmaster,
go
I am
on maybe
always ready.
1 or 2 more? Then why don't you keep on going, Ryan? You're doing a fine job.
Deal. Okay. Hello, Toastmasters. As we continue on in the table topics section of the off-the-cuff speeches, what I would like to bring up now is something a little bit more complicated. You see, when we let go in our lives, it's often for a negative reason. But what I've found in my life is that despite their negative impact, there's always something in them to improve my own life or way of thinking. And so I'm going to ask our guest today, David Jones. Was there somebody that was perhaps a negative influence or a toxic person in your life that you still were able to learn and grow from, and what impact did they have on you? David.
Thank you, Mr. Table Topics Master. Greeting fellow Toastmasters and guests. I believe letting go is the same as relinquish. So I'm glad she didn't sing relinquish instead of let it go, because let it go is such a better song. I have grandkids, so I really do appreciate the hundreds of times she sings it. The only people negative in my life, and I try to keep toxic people away from me, is people in traffic. And it's amazing how often I consciously try to get away from negativity when I'm driving. It's really the only time I get stressed out. And I'll be listening to Dr. Deepak Chopra or Tony Robbins or motivational people in the car. I'll put on classical or spa, and I'm just trying to get into a Zen moment when I'm driving, and I'll still just spaz out almost every single day that I'm driving. Even now, when the traffic is so small, it's something that I just cannot get away from. So whenever I'm driving, it's something conscious about me, and somebody will cut me off and I'll say, just let it go. Let them get in front of you. They're probably in a hurry because they're late for work and they did some poor planning, but I still get so furious. So I would say the only toxic people are those around me, those driving next to me. And it's just really, really hard. I think most of us have the same situation, I would assume, because you're supposed to just wave and say hello to them and let it go, but it's really difficult. And so is this time. It seems to be dragging on forever. But I made it. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Table Topics Master.
Thank you, David. Moving into our fifth and final table topics speaker, no pressure. I'd like to go back now and consider organizations and clubs that you might have been a part of in the past, or as Moklas touched on, jobs you might have had in the past. And talk about one of the fondest memories you have of something that you had to let go. And so I'm going to ask Margot to step up to the plate and relive a little bit of your positive past. Margot.
Good morning, everyone. So instead of relinquishing, you want me to keep a memory of something I did in the past. Thinking about that, that's actually a tough one after all the things that I've been thinking about, what other people said of organizations I've been thinking about letting go of. But I guess for me right now, one of the most fun organizations I'm in is actually our Lions Club. We had our board meeting last night with a new president who kept the meeting to less than an hour. Yay, Tim. It was wonderful. And we spent a lot of the time laughing. We do a lot of chicken barbecues, and there's lifting of the chickens and serving of the food. And we'd like to hold another one. So the question is, how many chickens are we going to cook? We cook 500 chickens, make $2,500. It's a great barbecue. We had somebody advocating to do 1,000 chickens. Yeah, I looked at Jackie's face, 1,000 chickens. So we had all kinds of fun with who was going to do what, how we were going to manage this, who was going to be in costume. Did we want somebody dressed as a chicken in the road to sort of try to sell these dinners? We laughed a lot. And then, of course, the group looked around and realized that we had brought some libations for us to share, a couple of containers of beer and whatever, and I opened up my cooler and brought out 6 wine slushies. And so we were sharing wine slushies. So by the end of our meeting, we were having an absolute wonderful time. And that, quite frankly, is what makes our club work. Not only do we enjoy being together, but we don't want to relinquish our time together because we just have a wonderful time. Mr. Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Margot. Much appreciated. And it's been fun getting a little bit of perspective from everybody today during Table Topics. This is a great topic. And so with that, I'm going to turn it back over to our Toastmaster of the day, Jackie, to continue on the topic of letting it go. But again, I appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you, Ryan. Those are excellent, thought-provoking questions. I like the way you attack the subject matter. All right, I think we need a Wordmaster report at this point. Sylvia, can you tell us how people did with relinquish?
I was a little worried about relinquish. I didn't hear it at first. I did not hear it from Lynn. I did not hear it from Nancy. But I did hear Jackie said it once or twice. Dr. Gerald Stevens said it. Ryan said it. Mocha said it. David said it. And Margot said it. So we have Margot, David, and Mocha qualifying for the word.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yep.
And we also need a timers report. Len, how did you and everyone else do with your time?
Madam Toastmaster, I must say, I was caught a little bit off guard being the first contestant and being timer. Consequently, I relinquished my duty to use the word of the day. It simply didn't happen. I came in at 1:32, qualifying time-wise anyway. Nancy qualified at 2:08, Muklas at 2:06, David Jones qualified at 1:38, and Margot qualified at 1:43. So time was not a problem today. Madam Toastmaster.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Len. I'm sure that there it is.
I had
We
already
can
put
vote
Len.
Jones or Margot. Yeah, that's all right. It's to get the names off and on, I'm sure. But the last three people on the list are the three people that you can vote for. So please feel free to do that. And then we will move on and talk about the speakers that we're going to have this morning, both of whom are people who have forged forward and not let go of their accomplishments in Toastmasters. They didn't relinquish any of their projects. They finished things, stacked up all the documentation they needed, and managed to make DTM this year. So I'm looking forward to hearing what Jen Czapla has to say this morning. Thomas will tell us a little bit about her goals, if you will, this morning. Thomas.
Good morning. Thank you, Madam Tabletop, or Madam Toastmaster. This morning, we're going to hear from Jen Czapla as she travels along her visionary communicator line with storytelling. And I'm really excited to hear her 5 to 7 minute speech entitled The Gift That Keeps Giving. With that, Jen Czapla.
Thank you, Thomas. All right, fellow Toastmasters. Now on the bottom of your screen, I believe you have the little icons where you can raise your hand. So I'm going to start by posing a question to you, and you can raise your hand if you feel so inclined. And my question to you is, have you ever purchased an appliance or asked for an appliance from your significant other? Okay, I saw at least one hand. Don't do it. The answer is do not do it. This is not the right gift. And today, I'm going to tell you why. Now, you see, I had a significant other purchase a very fine appliance for me, one that I very much enjoy. Well, it's upside down. The Shark Robot Ion vacuum cleaner. And I have to be honest, I was fairly disappointed to get this as a gift. Even though it's like quite a nice gift and I am happy to have it. Now, as it turns out, it was not a mistake. It was actually the perfect gift, but not for the reasons you may be thinking. It was the perfect gift because my then significant other and I broke up. Well, you know what? If your significant other gives you a lovely piece of jewelry and then you break up, it's really difficult to wear it again. You might think of that person when you put it on. It might have some sort of like emotional significance. And so you don't want to use it. But if they get you a vacuum, every time you vacuum your floor, you're thinking, yeah, vacuum for me. That was a swear word. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking every time I pull out my vacuum. This is the gift that keeps giving. Now, there's only one problem with the vacuum, and I don't think this would have happened in my vacuum story if I had purchased the vacuum myself. It's got a little bit of X karma on it, I'm not gonna lie. So I purchased the vacuum, and this was a little, or I'm sorry, I'm using the vacuum, and this was a little bit my error. As it turns out, I'd neglected the vacuum just as this relationship had been neglected, and somewhere down the road, it filled with hair that I didn't quite notice and clean out properly. And at some point, the vacuum started making this god-awful sound. God, what am I going to do? So I did what any rational human being would do in this case. I took it apart. And as I took it apart, I discovered this is what it looked like on the inside. Okay, now people, I am not up to par with fixing this vacuum cleaner. So I realized I needed to call in some help, and I did the next logical thing. I took it to the vacuum store. Clearly, a vacuum store should be able to fix a vacuum cleaner, right? Well, as it turns out, the Shark Ion robot, they don't sell their parts to vacuum stores. They have, I don't know, some proprietary nonsense, and they don't want to share these things. And so it's really difficult to find a vacuum store to fix it. However, luckily for me, the vacuum store people told me, you know, just call. And I said, listen, I've had this vacuum for, you know, going on 2 years. Like, it's definitely not under warranty anymore. And they said, just call. So I thought, okay, all right, what do I have to lose? Maybe they can sell me a part. Maybe they'll repair it for me. I'm willing to pay money for this at this point to have the vacuum fixed within reason. So I call up the company and they say, start by doing this and that. And they test it out, have me do a couple different things. And they send me a roller in the mail, a brand new roller. And of course they did say, you know, when you get the roller, do these steps again. And if it's still making the sound, then call us back. Okay, so I do this. And of course it's still making the sound. Both of us knew when I talked to that gentleman on the phone that vacuum was going to be making the sound. But I went through the hoop anyway. And he says to me the second time I call, we're going to mail you back the vacuum body. However, it doesn't include all the parts. For example, it doesn't include the charger or the battery that came with the original vacuum. Okay, fine, great. You know, and they did ask me to pay like a $20, $25 shipping and handling fee. Fine. You know what? I would have paid more to fix the vacuum cleaner or for a new vacuum. I'm still willing to do this. So I get the vacuum in the mail. And unfortunately, when it comes, it does not have a battery cover, which means I take it from the old vacuum, no problem, right? Okay, people, it does not fit. It doesn't fit. What happened was they sent me an upgraded model, which is great. I love an upgraded model, but the battery cover doesn't fit. So I call back a third time. Yes, I'm telling you, ex-karma here. Ex-karma for sure. They send me the battery cover in the mail. Guys, these are the battery covers. I don't know if you can see this, but they are exactly the same. They sent me the vacuum battery cover for the old vacuum. So now I'm like kind of irritated. I'm not gonna lie. I'm just about ready to give up and buy another vacuum. But I call back again, another time, and I say, listen, you sent me the wrong battery cover. And the guy looks, he says, what's the model number? And he asks me what the information is on the receipt that they'd sent or the invoice that they'd sent. And I say, give him all this information. He said, well, this should be the battery cover for the new vacuum. And I said, well, I don't really care what it should be because it isn't. It doesn't fit. Like, I don't know what to tell you. It doesn't fit. Now, all I want at this point is a new battery cover. That is the only thing I'm asking for. I have to tell you, if you guys don't own a Shark Ion vacuum cleaner, you need to go out and buy one right now. Not for your significant other, though. Because the gentleman's offer to me was to send me a brand new vacuum cleaner. Brand new, with the charger, with the battery, and the battery cover. Now I'm going to have 3 of these. 3. You know, one missing a few parts, one missing a battery cover, and a fully brand new vacuum cleaner. This is the gift that keeps giving. Not only does my ex do my vacuuming, but he's going to start soon doing it for my mother. Thank you, fellow Toastmasters.
Thank you very much, Jen. I wouldn't want to cross you on something. Our next speaker this morning is going to be Larry McKenzie, and he'll be evaluated by Cate Banks. Cate, would you tell us a little bit about Larry's speech?
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Larry is speaking from Pathways level for an elective speech in leadership development. I believe this is his second speech now as a DTM, so I'm very eager to evaluate him this morning. Mr. Timer, 5 to 7 minutes. The objectives we're looking at, his purpose today is building a social media presence. The two purposes are of this project for the member to apply his understanding of social media to enhance or establish or new social media presence. And the secondary purpose is for the member to share some aspect of his experience establishing or enhancing that social media presence. I'm very eager to hear. Madam Toastmaster, you have his title, correct?
I do. Thank you.
Wonderful.
So this morning, we will be hearing from Larry McKenzie, who, as we said, achieved his DTM very recently. This morning, we hear who, what, where, when with Larry McKenzie. Larry.
Who, what, where, when? What do I do? Well, I have to tell you, creating a social media experience for anything, for a business or for personal, is very difficult. But let me give you a little background. Years ago, in the early, I won't date myself, but 1978 to 1985, I used to own a small business. During that time, there was no such thing as social media. What I had to figure out was, how do I advertise my business? Well, there were different ways of doing that back then, one of which I don't know if anything, if it's still around. It was called a newspaper. And we had to basically advertise in the newspaper and hope that somebody would read it in your local area. But it was targeted for your local area. I lived in Niagara Falls at the time. After I sold the business, I looked back and I said, well, that worked well for me. It cost me a lot of money between newspaper and radio advertising to advertise my restaurant and business. And then I moved on into the entertainment business. The entertainment business, at that point, I met a gentleman at a conference in the early 90s. His name was Steve Wozniak. Now, this is not the Steve Wozniak who is the multi-billionaire, but he did live out in the California area of the Silicon Valley. He came to this meeting and he said, there's this new thing that we all have to get involved with, and it's called the internet. Ooh, internet. Well, how does that work? And he said, well, we have to go out and we have to get a website. A website? What's a website? Well, from that point on, I had a website, 1995, 1996, and that website is called funline.com. That was, he said, the best way of advertising your business and getting the word out, because you can direct people right there. Oh, that's cool. And he said, we have to have emails. What's an email? Oh my gosh. So creating a social media back in the 1990s was very difficult. As it progressed through, now it became something that, oh my gosh, there was MySpace, Facebook, AOL, my whatever. There was, oh my gosh, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, blogging, Google, Bling, Internet Explorer, Safari, Amazon. Oh my God, it was overwhelming. So how do you go about creating a social media presence that is effective? I don't think as an individual, I could be an expert in every field, because that's very difficult. Now, I could also pay someone to help me with that. But when you look at all of the things that are available, LinkedIn is something that is a business to business type of environment. I jumped on LinkedIn when it was first introduced. Right now, unbelievably, I have over 14,000 acquaintances on LinkedIn. What does that do? It does give me some ability to interact with people in different fields. Facebook. Facebook is another social media area that I was like, oh my gosh, everybody has a Facebook page. There are over, get this now, there are over 2.3 billion people on Facebook. I looked back on my newspaper days where I was only hitting people with my advertising in our local area, hopefully maybe a couple hundred. Now I have the ability to reach 2.3 billion people on Facebook. LinkedIn, 610 million plus people. Instagram, almost 2 billion people. YouTube, 2 billion people. Oh my gosh, what do I do? Well, I hired someone to help me with my website because I could not continue to do that. Now, with doing that, you're paying a fee. I learned a lot from that to be able to do some social media with Facebook. And I've used that to help with my Hydrocephalus Association, with my own business. So I manage 5 different social media pages on Facebook. Within there are different ways that you can advertise. You can pay for advertising, same as I did for newspaper, but is that effective? Who knows? Well, for myself, what I decided to do was focus on things that I could do well. Facebook, YouTube, I do a slight bit of blogging, and those things have helped me to create a presence not only for myself, but for the associations or the groups that I've been working with. Now, I do have a website, which I still have. It's called funline.com. Now, in that website, it advertises all of the things that my business currently does or doesn't do because of COVID-19, but it does have access and availability. Within that, I have a COVID-19 response, also providing business since 1989. It tells you about all the different things that we do offer and all the organizations professional that I belong to. So with the website, it is still something that is, as Jen would say, something that still keeps on giving, because back in 1996, when we started the Facebook or the web page, it was in the early beginnings of the internet. So therefore, it's considered a grandfathered website. So it receives a lot of hits, even though I'm not advertising it or paying for advertising. What I had to do is relinquish some control of my business and things to have experts help me to be a better person and learn how to use social media to my best advantage, but also be able to hit the demographics of the people that I was looking to attract. Social media, overwhelming? Yes, it is. I almost relinquished myself because of the fact that it's so overwhelming. But who, what, where, and when? Where are you going to find it out? Social media. That is the way to go.
Thank you, Larry. And now I'm looking for a timers report so we can think about voting.
And Toastmaster, I am pleased to report both of our speakers fell within the time constraints today. Jen speaking for 7 minutes, 13 seconds, and Larry for 7 minutes and 22 seconds. Congrats, guys.
Very good. All right, thank you. And now the ballot will be up there and you can vote for one of our 2 speakers. I have to say, I never received an appliance of any kind as a gift. People's lives depended on that. My dear little Aunt Mary, who was a very quiet and unassuming woman, once received a vacuum cleaner from Uncle George. The following gift-giving occasion found Uncle George getting a new set of dishes. And that was the end of household equipment for gift giving in their family. I'd like to propose a toast this morning To all of us who were willing to get up early, to all of you who were willing to jump in and put yourself on the schedule, because AM Lockport Toastmasters is worth getting up for. All right, letting go. One of the things I think probably everyone needs to let go of at some time or other is grudge. Margot mentioned resentments, and I know this saying goes along with her background. It goes along with my background and a lot of other people that I know. The Irish forget about everything but the grudge. So do a lot of other ethnicities. It's very hard to let go, especially when you're firmly convinced that you're right about something. But it's also nice to have peace reign in a family. So sometimes you just need to button it up and stop holding on to that definite political view, religious view, whatever it happens to be. Let it go. It's not that important. Hold on to your own true self, to your own beliefs and the things that you think are important, but don't force other people to share them. And now we're going to hear about what the speakers did well and others could improve. So our first evaluator is going to be Thomas, telling us what he thought about Jen's speech this morning.
Good morning, everyone. Storytelling. Well, before the written language, people gather around fires and listen to each other's stories. And sometimes they had a very good underlying moral. I'll get back to Jen's. Her opening with a question is always a good way to start. With a little bit of a joke and a little bit of a question. I think that one of the things that didn't go right was that she used the raise hand function, and a lot of people were kind of like looking around drastically, like, how do I figure out, where is that? I wouldn't have done that myself, but it was a good opening with a question. She did a very excellent technical thing of sharing the screen, and I saw that Larry did that as well. I like that. I definitely want to try and incorporate that in one of my next speeches. The difference in her tone. Normally she is so stoic, which is a good thing. Look up stoicism. She was so animated during her story, she really drew us in. She brought us in by being exasperated with the thing, how many times she had to call back, how excited she was that she was going to get her ex to vacuum for her, and I was impressed with how determined, personally, I came across with calling back again and again and again. I thought that was great. One of the things that I would say that could have improved her speech would be movement. I don't know if any movement into the camera or away from the camera or left or right. Well, I'm mirrored, but I may have gone left and right for you. I don't know if she could have incorporated that, but that's one of the things I've seen in some of the speeches, that if you're stuck in a chair, it's not going to be the best. And she did have wonderful hand gestures of holding her heart, motioning to things, holding things up. And then she had a wonderful closing. She used humor, and I'm glad that that son of a bleep is going to be vacuuming for her and her mother.
Thank you, Thomas. And Cate, are you prepared to tell us what you thought of Larry's speech this morning?
I sure am. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Larry, who, what, where, when? What a fun journey you took us on this morning. And it was a trip down memory lane for a lot of us. I wondered what direction you were going with social media. I thought you might just talk about Toastmasters, since you have experience in our club in that role. obviously. You've been such a boon to our club in so many ways. But you took us on a trip down memory lane. You excel at storytelling. We all know that you and bringing the visuals in your background and your voice to us is something we all expect. So it was definitely something that was clear. You're skilled at engaging us with your voice. Your eye contact was strong. I'm still learning that myself. I obviously right now even have a challenge doing that. I think coming back to the eye contact, when you had it, it was very strong. But then I noticed that you looked away and down and to the side fairly often. But this is very difficult to pinpoint suggestions for you, Larry, because as a DTM, you clearly know what you're doing and where you wanted to take us on your journey. The visuals just accentuated that. The stories we all could relate with because it's a jumble in our minds, no matter our age, no matter our social media skills, it surrounds us. And it's about sifting through and finding the ways to connect. And you do excel at connecting with others. I would challenge you, if I have to pinpoint something, again, it's very difficult, I would challenge you to prepare your conclusion a bit better. I think that was rushed, probably because you saw the red light, so you felt the need to wrap up like I will now. It's something that we all could improve upon. Thank you very much, Larry.
Thank you, Kate. Mr. Timer, could we have a report on our evaluators, please?
Certainly, Madam Toastmaster. Thomas spoke for 2 minutes, 22 seconds. I believe that's beyond the 15-second buffer. 15-second buffer on evaluations?
30-second buffer on evaluation.
It's 30. Okay, then Tom's good at 2:22. Yeah. And Kate did just fine at 2 minutes, 9 seconds.
All right. Thank you, Len. Your job is over for the morning now. And Tom Moran's job is just beginning. Tom Moran, would you like to talk to us about how you thought the meeting went this morning and how our two evaluators did?
I will do that. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. This morning, I was curious during the week. I keep track of the schedule, and whenever I get an alert on my email from Toastmasters with a copy of the schedule attached to it and a certain amount of pleading for fill-ins and help and that sort of thing, I am always curious as to how that is going to end up at meeting time. And I'm glad to see that everybody kind of stepped up, and that's been a tradition in this club all along, that people will eventually step up. But I would hope people would do that earlier in the week, perhaps on Sunday when Jackie sends out her notice about needing help, because that does alleviate some of the anxiety for the Toastmaster in preparing the schedule. I thought Jackie's subject matter this morning with Let It Go was very appropriate, and everybody seemed to be engaged in that subject, that topic, and I thought it worked very well. One of the things I had originally written down when Jackie started the meeting was I put in a different pen color. I put toast because there was no toast at the beginning of the meeting. Now, I have a question for Jackie because I see she's not muted right now, but Jackie, you did it later in the meeting. Was that intentional or did you forget?
Semi-intentional. I did intend to do a toast. I thought it might be better in the beginning, but then as time went on, I decided in the middle was a better spot for it, since we seem to have a lot of extra time and we want to kind of stretch a little bit this morning.
Yeah. Thank you, because I really like that. I like when people mix things up and I anticipate certain things at a certain time and I notice when they're not there, but I also notice when they're snuck in at a different time. And I think that's really neat when someone does that. Now, our jester this morning, Eric, I see he's still hanging around there. I liked his jest this morning. I thought it was perfect. I thought it was very funny, and it's something that I may use during the week. It's always nice to get a nice jest like that you can perhaps drop on somebody else during the week and get a laugh. Now, Sylvia picked an excellent word. Sylvia, I'm looking for you on the screen here. Yes, there you are. I always like it when I go to these meetings, these online meetings, when they actually put the word in next to their name so that it reminds people that that's what the word is. Because I think a lot of people overlooked the word relinquish, and it was an excellent word for this meeting and this theme. So I thought you did a nice job in picking out the word. Gerald had a couple of quotes from people that I have never heard from or heard of. I was not familiar with their names, and I like that in a way because they're quotes that I had not heard before, and I love a good quote, and he really worked on that and came up with it. I'll be interested to see Carol's report on Oz. I don't think I've had any Oz through all of this speaking that I've done thus far in the meeting, so I would be challenge her to catch me, being that she is the queen. Let's see, grammarian, Mark, I'm looking forward to your report as well. Now, you didn't have a quizmaster this morning, Joe Budnack. We could see you on the phone trying to fill that in, and no one stepped up to do that, and I think that's because it's a relatively new position in Toastmasters. I don't think it's formally a part of the Toastmaster agenda. So it's something that we include. And it was nice that you didn't push that to get somebody to do that. The timer this morning did an excellent job. I love how you do that, Len. You're so creative with the colors in back of you on the Toastmaster card. It's very neat how you did that. Ryan, I would like to compliment you on your table topics. Now, sometimes people don't know how to fit table topics into the theme of the meeting, but you did an excellent job. Very good. And your questions were appropriate. And even when you extended them, they still worked in with the theme. So that was very good. I'd like to speak to the table topics a little bit if I can here. Let me see what the time is. Oh, it's 8:02. I got plenty. Len, when you were talking about storing screws and nuts and bolts and stuff, in my basement, I have, in my basement, speaking of your father, in my basement, I have some Band-Aids used to come in tin cans, and I have some of those in my basement that my father had. I'm not only storing my own, I'm storing his now. Who knows what will happen to him? I'll get him onto somebody. Nancy, I thought your question was answered appropriately in Toastmaster in the table topics portion, and you veered off of the movies. But every new movie that I've seen, every dramatic movie that I know of, that I've seen the plot of the movie and how they end so sadly, is due to somebody who couldn't let go. That's the overriding theme of the movie. Mokeless, let go of Kodak. Yeah, I know that. I've let go of quite a few jobs, and I've never really felt bad about it, actually. So I've never thought twice about it. And David, traffic. Now, I no longer live in Western New York, but I'm probably one of those people who have cut you off. A lot of times you really need to let that go, because in my own case, I just kind of mess with people when I'm driving, especially now that I'm retired. You know, retired people, you get behind somebody who's going 30 miles an hour in a 45 mile an hour zone. Yeah, that's me. So I just messing with you. So yeah, let it go. And Margot, I don't know what to say about 1,000 chickens. It just pulls up some sort of a strange image. I loved Jen Zapla's speech this morning. I have done gifting similar to that. I relate a little story here that wintertime, I was married and it was snowing all the time. We didn't have a garage, and I always had to clean the windows off on my wife's car because she had short arms and she couldn't reach across and clean clean the windows real good. She couldn't get them scraped real good and cleaned real good. So my thought was, for Christmas, I'm going to buy her one of these snow brushes with the extension on them, so that instead of me going out and cleaning her windows off, she could go out and clean them off. So, well, that was my, let me just say, that was my first wife. So that was my first experience in letting go. So, and let's see, Larry, the social media presence, I really like that. I like how you did that. And I think your evaluator covered that very well, how you interjected different screens into your presentation. And also, Jen, I like that. I got to try that sometime, but I find that very intimidating. I like the whole Evaluation-Cate of Larry. I noticed in his eye contact as well. It's even more obvious when you have a screen in front of you that you don't have the eye contact. Now, Larry, a suggestion I would make to you, and I make it for everybody that I talk to in Toastmasters, and people just don't seem to pick up on it: glasses. Now, you can see my eyes here. See them? Okay. Now, if I get them just right, all you can see is a reflection of the screen. You can't see where I'm looking, can you? Mm-hmm. There you go. See, you should have thrown them on, because then you can get away with that, looking from side to side, up and down, and over and around. So that is my general evaluation of the meeting. I thought it went really well. I'm glad I got up this morning, and I'm sure your toast was very, very appropriate. It's worth getting up for. Thank you, Jackie. Back to the toast.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you very much. And see, we have just the right amount of time, because now we need some reports. Carol Ann, would you give us a report as our master of today? Where is she? Carol, are you out there somewhere? You have to unmute. There you go.
Everyone did amazingly well this morning, even table topics with the extemporaneous speeches. I heard a couple so's from Len and a couple ahs from Thomas. And other than that, everyone sounded very well.
Thank you, Carol. Mark Campos, let's hear a grammarian's report this morning.
Madam Toastmaster, I think I may need to get these headphones recalibrated because I don't have an overly extensive list today. Tom Moran dropped a few G's. Gonna looking kinda's not a G issue, but we had a missing as well. Moklis stabbed behind from the back, awkward sounding. We understood the meaning, obviously, especially in corporate America for sure. David Jones, you had a listening. I did like Zen moment quite a lot. Who doesn't enjoy a Zen moment? Jackie forged forward, very nice. I like the sound of that. Jen, you had a couple of gonas, and you know, however, the line of the day. Yeah, vacuum for me. That is the line of the day, followed closely by X Karma. Also very good. I like that a lot. Not that they were necessarily eloquent grammatically, but they just were perfect and on point. Larry McKenzie, you had a gona. However, I thought your vocabulary was very strong throughout your speech. Kate Boone, I like that word. One thing I'd like to call people's attention to, something I've become a little more conscious of in my own speech, and even when I write emails, I notice I sprinkle in some unnecessary reallys. And I did, now that I'm a bit in tune to that, I started to pick that up in other people. I didn't note them down, but start thinking of really as a filler word, because I think we use it quite a lot, more than we really need to. One final thought, Ryan, we will hold you responsible today for planting the earworm in all of us by bringing up Frozen and Let It Go. Your ears will be ringing this afternoon because we will all be cursing you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you. I know. I did not think about that song at all when I thought about the theme, Letting Go. It never popped into my head until Ryan mentioned it. And now it's just circling and circling. And I know as soon as I get offline, the neighbors will be probably complaining about me singing it.
And you are all welcome.
Well, now we need to hear how gestures went this morning. Beth Banks, give us a gesture master report, please.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. I felt our gestures today were really good for everyone. I would like to just point out a few that I felt were especially good. Len, you are one that really can, even if you're not gesturing with your hands, your facial expressions are so good. Yes, look at those eyebrows roll up. That really, some people are able to do that, some people not. Moklis, I noticed something with you that not everyone does. You did an excellent job with your shoulders today. You put forth meaning just by raising your shoulders, and that was really very good. I loved that. I will point out again, too, what Mark said, the vacuum for me. I loved it. I just loved that. That was very good. Larry, you had the ability to express with your eyes, even if they did move around a little, your eye expression really was excellent today. So hand gestures then are not always needed as much if you can put those gestures into some other area of your body. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Beth. You're very observant. That was a great report. All right. I don't know if we have a schedule for next week. Do we know who the Toastmaster will be?
If that was a question for me, I apologize. I was talking.
Right.
And we do not have a Toastmaster assigned for next week. I am trying to avoid having the same folks doing it again and again. If there is anyone from the floor today who is interested in being Toastmaster, Sylvia.
I will.
Excellent. Thank you very much, our new treasurer, Sylvia, for volunteering to be Toastmaster. You jumped in so quickly. Do you already even have a theme in mind or not quite yet?
Well, I've been thinking about a theme. I was going to tell Jackie this week I will do it for her instead of her because I know she's done it a couple times in a row. But I kind of had a theme, but I'll let you know for sure. I want to do some research on it first before I do it.
Sounds great. Thank you so much, Sylvia.
Thank you. Thanks, Kate. Thanks, Sylvia, for jumping in so quickly. And hopefully the whole week's schedule will fill it in that quickly.
Oh, yes, please do. Please do.
It is difficult right now because we have some members who have a job that they have to start earlier because of everything that's going on. We have a number of members who want no part of Zoom and are not willing to do anything at all. And a few members who only will get on once in a blue moon. And, you know, it's very difficult to fill in a schedule when you have those kinds of things. So I think sometimes we just have to let some of these jobs go. We relinquished Quizmaster today. We might have to combine jobs. We could have a grammarian / master, or, you know, whatever we need to do to keep things rolling and keep our wonderful club going. I do see a couple of faces this morning that we haven't seen for a while, and I'm wondering if they'd like to say anything to the group. We have Samir and Charlie Deacon both on that we haven't heard from this morning. Samir, would you like to let us know what you're up to these days?
Just trying to survive this quarantine, same as everyone else. I was a bit late this morning because I spilled a bunch of sunflower seeds all over my kitchen, so I was supervising the robot vacuum as it struggled mightily with the 10,000 seeds and proceeded to spread them all over. And so I was kept sweeping it under it. But that was my morning. Yeah, sorry I missed the last couple, but I'm excited to see what being a sergeant at arms means in a virtual meeting world where there isn't actually stuff to unpack before each meeting. But hopefully we'll get back to in person maybe at some point, or at least in person optional. And I think it'll be pretty valuable that there was an for me to be able to set up Zoom meetings and maybe have a hybrid type meeting in the future. Thanks.
Thank you. And Charlie Deacon, do you have anything to share with us this morning? Is Charlie there? You know you're muted, Charlie, if you are trying to talk to us. Well, maybe Charlie went out to get coffee. I heard from Alexis this week. Her job has changed a little bit. Someone in her organization is ill, and she has to start going in earlier, so we won't be seeing her for at least probably the next 2 or 3 weeks. She's eager to get back with us, though. All right, we still have not heard a Wordmaster's report, and I know Sylvia's been listening carefully for the word relinquished. Sylvia.
Unfortunately, I had to zoom out a little bit. I missed probably 1 or 2 people. People were emailing me and texting me that they weren't coming into work today.
Oh.
I know, I love it. But I did hear Larry say it a couple times. I heard Jackie a few more times of relinquished, 3 more. Len said it once, Tom Moran said it once, and I'm just not sure if Thomas or Jennifer said it. That's when I was starting to get my texts and emails that people were calling in sick. No? Okay. I didn't miss anything then. And I did put in here to everyone that I received a dustbuster for Christmas. And I was a little upset about that because the Christmas before I got a pearl ring. What did I do different in 1 year? I don't know. But I will never tell my husband that that was actually the best gift. With my youngest one was an infant at the time. So things happen for a reason. I hope everybody has a good week. I'll contact you regarding the theme.
Okay, thank you, Sylvia.
Welcome.
Hopefully your husband does better in the future with the gift giving. All right. I think we're ready to start wrapping things up, and I understand that Eric wants Larry McKenzie to take over, so our immediate past president will close out the meeting today. Larry.
Thank you very much, Jackie, our Toastmaster of the day. Today, just so that everyone can keep it in their mind, let it go. Let it go.
Let it go. Let it go.
All right, well, we'll get rid of the music. All right, I'll let that music go for now. What we have...
Sorry.
What's it?
Go
ahead, Malkus.
I think we should get Larry Snow and Larry Snow in this heat.
Yes, my beard has grown, and my family wants me to let it go, but I have decided that I will keep my beard until I reach my weight goal, which we're in this weight loss challenge within our family. So when the beard is gone, you know I've reached my goal, hopefully. This morning, I have a couple of announcements that I'm going to make prior to announcing who our ribbon winners were. One of them is that there is makeup training for officers, and it'll be June 23rd, or June, I'll be all right, July 23rd. I wrote down June. Oh my gosh, I'm a month behind. I must be cloistered somewhere. It's July 23rd from 6 to 9 p.m. And I believe that Eric has already sent out an email in regards to that, but he will be following up probably with another one. And next week, with Sylvia being our Toastmaster of the day, please, 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 there's my 3 pleases, don't relinquish your opportunity to take a role next week. Make sure you sign up early and help out our Toastmaster, and so that we can have a productive meeting. With that, we have 3 winners today. Are we ready? Table topics. Wait, oh, we got to play the music one more time. Here we go. So with our table topics, 5 contestants. The winner, David Jones from the Carolinas, our visitor today. Congratulations, David. You were our table topics winner. Best evaluator of the day, Cate Banks. Cate Banks, best evaluator of the day. And our ribbon winner for speaker of the day, she's going to clean up with this ribbon, Jen Czapla. Jen, great speech. And I must tell you, I learned something because my wife had actually asked, she wanted a vacuum cleaner. And she said, you know, for my birthday or something, get me a vacuum cleaner. And I'm thinking, that might be a good present. Now I know it's not. So maybe it'll just be a surprise that shows up, and it'll be a vacuum surprise.
I also got a vacuum cleaner for Mother's Day one year too. So a vacuum cleaner one year and an orchard sprayer the next.
Oh my gosh.
Talk about romance.
Yeah.
Well, well, I did actually buy 2 new brooms with dustpans, and
oh, I'd be flying right at you with one of those.
well, no, I didn't buy them for my wife. I bought them for the house.
Oh, okay.
But one of the comments that was made, not by me, was it was the new mode of transportation for somebody within the household. But we won't go there. Are there any announcements before we close our meeting this morning? Does anyone have any announcements? Anything coming up that they would like to share? No? Yes? Maybe?
I think I would like to hear from David Licata. He's been awfully quiet today, the whole meeting.
All right, David Licata, where are you? David, unmute yourself. Be present.
I am. I'm unmuted.
There, David. Now I have to ask you a question.
Go ahead.
Could you relate to advertising with radio and newspaper when I was referring to that? I mean, people don't use it as much anymore.
I related because I used to sell radio advertising. I used to publish my own magazine with a partner called Restaurant Entertainment Magazine. We were focused on the hospitality industry and nightclubs and entertainment. But I was glad. I felt bad that I wasn't called on for table topics because, well, I would have been in a bit of a quandary. I couldn't do much about Elsa because I would have gone blank at hearing the term Ice Queen because I dated so many.
Did you get them a vacuum cleaner as a gift, David?
No, but I did. The wife actually requested the heavy-duty, very modern mixer, and I got that for Christmas. You know, that glorious one, and that she was okay with that because she asked for it. Now I did go in with trepidation, but she does make the finest chocolate chip cookies now. Oh my goodness, because that thing really does a job.
So it was a present for you.
No, I don't like cookies.
Well, Eric did chime in and say that if anyone does need a cleaner and they don't have a vacuum cleaner, he's the man. So
is he the man?
He's the man. Moklas, you have your hand up. Yes.
No, I just said thank you. That's
thumbs
good.
up. Thumbs up.
Thumbs up.
All right. And David, I may take you up on that golf for next week. Is there anyone else who would like to share something this morning before we close our meeting?
Larry, I just had a question.
Go ahead, Tom.
You made the announcement about makeup training. Is that available to the male members of the club as well?
Oh.
I just a question.
Yes.
I was in Little Theater with Tom Moran, and he knows his makeup.
He knows his makeup. Well, I will just say that it is a meeting of the new officers that did not have the ability to make the first meeting, and we will say that it is something that they can attend that maybe they won't have to wear makeup.
Oh.
There you go.
All right.
All right. So with that, we thank everyone for joining us this morning. There will be a post-toasty if anyone would like to stay, but also this evening is the social hour at 7 p.m. If anyone is available, bring a cocktail. Last week, I opened the social hour, and then at that point, I said my wife was calling me. I'll be right back. And 2.5 hours later, after she had me finish up my job that I was doing, I came back and I was the only one on the Zoom call.
Oh.
But be there. 7 o'clock tonight. I'll send out the link. It'll be coming by email. Thank you, everyone. Meeting is officially adjourned. If you have to take off, thank you for joining us. Otherwise, we'll see you all next week.